Welcome back to Formula 602. I think this is our third episode.
Yeah, it is.
We are going to do a quick recap of Bahrain and then get into Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
I know I'm excited, Kate, and I'll tell you why, but we can't get into it. We got to talk about Bahrain first, but I'm
Okay.
excited for my first street course.
I was gonna say street racing. We're here. It's happening. All
So
right. So
obviously, our
Bahrain.
last episode, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it was a slaughter. No surprise there. Verstappen just murdered everybody. It's interesting, Leclerc having to get out. Took a penalty. We'll talk about that for this week. So, yeah, not a great start for him. And yeah, Verstappen did as they thought he would and just like demolished everyone.
Me and I think me and Kendall was who was watching. No, it was me and my dad. And God, it wasn't close. It was never close. It was never in question.
No.
And Ferrari with a rough day, to say the least. But
Yeah.
how about that Aston Martin car?
I know. I was really excited. Alonso, like coming in strong is. I think he's the oldest driver, or he's one of the old. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, they
I
said
love
it
it.
40 times.
I love it. I love that he, like has experience. He did a few different moves you saw on the race, like feeling his car and was able to pick up a lot of spots. And yeah, I mean, it's fun because you see the Aston Martins. Um, they said that this was going to be a good year for them. They were feeling really strong, and to kind of see those cars translate. Because Mercedes obviously said the same thing, and they have been talking about how their car is not where they thought it would be. Yeah, we're even hardly competitive. So,
Yeah, I think if you didn't have a Ferrari literally break down on the track, the talk would have been all about how bad those Mercedes cars were.
yeah, for
It
sure.
was not impressive.
No,
One thing I really enjoyed was the team radios, um,
they're
both
fun,
for
right?
Aston Martin and just how much fun those guys are having. But then I'm not going to remember exactly who it was, but the guy got like 6 time penalties, and he was just bitching the whole race about everything. He's like, "I've been driving like this my whole career, and it's never come up before." And it's like, "Well, dude, you've been cheating your whole career."
I don't think I heard that. That's amazing. I don't remember that in the cast. That's amazing.
uh,
Yeah, I love listening to the radios because again, like one, you definitely hear when they're pumped, they're having a good time, and you also like the not knowing if they're telling the truth or not. I love the like weird like we're having trouble with the right side and like it has nothing to do with the card. It's talking about something else completely. It's so funny to me. The like radio
um,
talk thing.
I think the only other takeaway I have from Bahrain was something that F1 media beat to death, and I was kind of surprised by. But they're putting the Red Bull car up on the podium at the end, and
Mm.
the ramp slid out. And
Oh, I
F1
missed that.
commentary, yeah, I was right at the end when they're putting it up onto the ramp. He didn't hit it quite straight, so he had to kind of gun it, and it flung one of the ramps out. And F1
Oh,
media had a shit fit about it. It's like I saw so many articles go, it's unsafe. Like, do we really need to feature the car? Like, well, yeah, we do. So maybe just build a better ramp.
oh, it's so funny. Oh, I missed that completely.
But that was a
Damn.
whole thing. I mean, the damn winner's ceremony was almost as long as the race was.
Because of the car, that's amazing. Yeah, it happened. I mean, I don't really remember seeing anything like that, but that's funny because I don't necessarily remember ever seeing something like that before. So it's funny that one time, like how many races do they have? One time there's like the car doesn't do a good job, like doesn't get up easy, and now it's like they need to get rid of the whole ceremony, get rid of the cars
There's
completely.
a lot of media about it. I'm like, okay, so it's just like any other sport.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's only gotten bigger again. Like I think the things they focus on now is very different than 5 years ago pre the Netflix series. So they're trying to become definitely more mainstream, definitely more make it more popular for U.S. Considering again that they've added more races. So Bahrain was a good one. I'm bummed. I mean, it's funny. I'm happy for Red Bull because I don't hate Red Bull like a lot of people do, but I'm definitely just not. I'm not like, I would rather it be a better race and Verstappen stop just murdering, like not even being close. No one can even touch him. He could have literally pitted and still not even come close. Like, yeah. So.
Well, I think we're having a little bit of an audio sync issue,
Oh,
but let's just rock it out and see what happens.
okay.
Next up, we have the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
Yeah, I love street races so much because it's kind of like the massive difference from other racing, NASCAR, like because the tracks just feel very like a race that you're watching. The street races make it feel like a totally different experience than like what we kind of are used to watching, or I grew up watching with NASCAR, right? So the street races are so fun. They're so much more integral. Like you see definitely the strengths in drivers around a lot of the turns and different things. They make it more difficult because it's obviously streets. And you notice, the types of cars. So they've talked a lot about how Ferrari should be really strong because it's great in the turns, different things like that. That should favor the cars. But for Saudi Arabia with Leclerc, having to take that penalty, he's going to start further back. So, if Sainz can hang in there, like it could be a good race. But I mean, you really can't count Verstappen to not win.
Well, and heavy favorite,
Yep.
Red Bull, heavy favorite.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think to pick a winner, it's got to be Verstappen. And until he shows that he's not better than everyone else by a significant margin, I don't know how you don't pick him to win.
Yeah, one I love a lot of the casters are like, it was one race. Let's not like get out of hand. And I was like, it kind of felt like a continuation of last season. I know you didn't watch it, but like this was last season. I mean, he won 17 of the. I mean, it was just the Verstappen show. And obviously Bahrain felt no different. And I can't imagine as barring Red Bull have any issues with the cars, like I can't imagine anything's going to be significantly different. But Sainz could be a big factor. We'll see how they qualify. I haven't checked the weather, but normally I was going to say normally it's pretty. There's not a lot of rain. I like some of the tracks as we get further along, like they'll do the street races, but like in Norway and stuff, it rains a lot. So you'll see the difference in the wetness of the ground and the tires, and it comes into more play. And again, it kind of gives a little more level of a playing field for everyone, though again, Verstappen always wins anyways, but
One thing that I saw that I thought was interesting, I think it was 2021 was the last time they were in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
And I guess the drivers had some complaints about some of the corners. So they fixed them. And that's what stood out to me. It's like, players complain about getting hurt in the NFL, and the NFL's like, okay. They complain about tight corners on a street course, and they had comparisons. Like they made it wider to give better sight lines and turns that weren't quite so sharp coming out of high speed stretches. So I thought that was cool. I don't know the effect it'll have on the race, having not watched the previous version, but I thought it was cool that they were receptive to what the drivers and the teams are saying about safety.
I will definitely say that F1 I think does a really good job in the safety of it. I mean, there's just so much money in it. And I know like there's a lot of money in football, like but it's ungodly money kind of in F1 for something that's so small. They take whatever as serious as they can, the safety and the drivers. Like you'll see drivers, because there's not so many of them, they will have complaints, and you do see F1 address them every time. A driver does kind of talk about a complaint, like you really do see them care, or at least comment, or versus a lot of times in other sports you don't necessarily. No one cares at all.
Ever.
Exactly.
So I'm really excited. Street racing is kind of what I picture when I think of F1.
Yeah. And Saudi's a fun one. It's a cool race. I mean, because there's obviously a lot of people don't go necessarily to Saudi. So getting to see the streets, getting to kind of see what the buildings, it's so futuristic. It's super neat looking. So it's cool to kind of see. Yeah.
it's got one hell of a straightaway on it too. So I'm excited to see how fast those cars get up to.
I was gonna say lots of drag type racing, which will be fun. Trying to see if they can pass each other.
So I want to get to our picks, but I did want to say I'm out on F1 fantasy.
I know. I meant to talk to you about that. Like, I don't understand it at all. Like the way that it I went back and I was like, wait, did it even work? I was so confused.
It's not an approachable game. I play a lot of fantasy. It's not an approachable game. It's not fun. Like there's so much going on during the race. I don't need to check fantasy.
Right.
And if we're essentially just making salary cap picks, I'll just bet. I'm good.
On the drivers. No, I totally agree. I thought the same thing. I literally thought the same thing. Like, wait, did it even work? And what are the points? And wait, you don't actually even get points because there's only so many drivers. It was such a weird layout. I totally agree. Not that I do as much fantasy as you, because I definitely do not.
But I mean, like heavy fantasy and light fantasy, we both have kind of the same takeaway. So that means there's probably something to it. If anyone from F1's media team happens across this show, God, fix your fantasy game.
Yeah, it'd be much better. It could be fun. I could see where they could, rather than the capping, making it salary, making if who will at least be in first for one lap. Or, so then pitting becomes a thing. So you can, who's close and who do you think or who's going to win? There's so many ways to get points. And I don't think they do that. It's just pick your driver and there's a cap. So you can't really, and it's very bizarre.
Yeah, it was weird. So I'm out on that. We're not going to talk about that anymore.
All right, great.
Who you got winning?
I'm sad to say I have Verstappen. I mean, he just was so dominant last week. I'd like to see Alonso. I'm feeling because again, the Ferraris and Aston Martins, these track races are definitely strong for them. And to see Alonso come up so many places last week on a track where they were supposed to be good, but this potentially could be really good. And his experience on driving, he's my I would love Alonso to take it.
The one longer shot bet I was looking at with the penalty, Leclerc 20-1 to win.
Yeah.
So depending on how that starting grid looks, if he's still sitting around 20-1 near race time, I might pop that because he's got to be pissed.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, if he can run a clean race and with the street track, sometimes those crashes come into play and slow the track down and bring everybody closer together, different things like that. You could definitely see if maybe Verstappen gets closer. I mean, anything is definitely possible. Like you said, he's definitely going to be out for blood. And the cars should run great. So, yeah, hopefully they fix whatever engine issue. The car just died.
I saw you could get 4-1 money on no warning car.
Oh, wow. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah. I'm looking at the history of some of the street tracks. I'm like, yeah, that's the chances of it happening. But that's why I pays 4-1 because.
Right. Yeah, totally. All
right. Do you have anything else about Saudi Arabia?
I don't think so. I'm excited. First street race.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a good one.
Pumped.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good race. I'd like to see Mercedes also come out a little bit stronger. I mean, they've been really timid, and there was that whole thing coming out of our car is actually going to be better than it is. I don't necessarily. I think it's going to be a whole season of work, and I don't understand why their car is so behind. But I'd love to see them not do as mediocre as they did last week. But we'll see.
Maybe we'll see Mercedes' real car. Not the prototype.
Right, exactly.
What a crock of shit.
Totally, 100%. It was such a weird, that's not real. Okay, you guys need a lot of work. We got it.
Yeah. Oh, it's a test car. Yeah, for the first race of the season. Okay.
Right, exactly.
Well, we have Australia in a couple weeks. I know the times for that one suck. If you're in the United States, that's gonna be exhausting. But that's part of the fun, right?
It's true. World racing.
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm ready.
Me too.
All right, Kate, one more thing before we go. It is tournament time here in the States.
Oh,
Who's cutting down the nets?
I haven't even been I literally have been watching it all. I kind of like Alabama seems to be so dominant. If you look at the scores of where everybody kind of landed, there were a lot of number 1 or 2 seeds or 3 seeds that won, but by like points, and Alabama seemed to have really been dominant. So, not that I really cheer for the South either way, but hey.
I had Virginia winning the whole thing, and
Oh, there you go.
So, all right,
No,
but hey,
that's so bad.
that's enough bad. We won't talk basketball again on this show, I promise. Thanks for joining us on Formula 602, and we will see you for Australia.
Yeah.